Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sagstar, Master of Scary Stories, and I'm here today to explore with you the many theories of the black-eyed children. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge my new background. I'm so excited for it. You know, it has like the zombie hands. One of my true loves is zombies. So besides that, I want to actually do like a recap of the last video, since this is a part 2. If you haven't seen the last video, I do recommend that you go back and watch that one first, because I am going to reference it in this video and I don't want you getting a little confused. So you probably should just go ahead and do that first and then come right back over to this chat or to this video. So to recap, let's see, last week we talked about Brian Bethel, the origin story of the black-eyed children, who met them in 1996. Also, we talked about, let's see, the couple who were on their way to dinner and met the black-eyed children, and then, if you remember, the black-eyed children followed the husband back to his work and revealed an address to him, and then the address popped up years later. So they were essentially being haunted by them for like years. And then the last story we talked about was the woman in Vermont who her and her husband actually let them into their home, and we found out the scary truth about what happens when you let the black-eyed children in. And what happened to them was, after the black-eyed children left, them and their animals were plagued with a disease and death. Okay, so that's everything that happened in the last video. So let's continue on to theories about the black-eyed children. Like, who are they? Where do they come from? And most importantly, what do they want from us? Okay, so let's get down to the characteristics of the black-eyed children. First of all, black eyes. As you know, they have these incredibly dark black eyes, and when I say black, I mean even the sclera, which is the white part that surrounds the color part of your eye, that is black. So they have no color. People have even said that these children, some of them don't even look like they have eyes. They look like they just have like pits of darkness. And you know what they say about eyes being the windows to your soul. So if they have no eyes or black eyes, imagine them having no soul. That's just really freaky. Another characteristic about them is that they usually come like in pairs or in threes. They usually come as children, and they're usually seen at night. Now, there have been some exceptions to this rule. There have been people that reported seeing adult people with black eyes, and also seeing them during the day. It's rare, but there have been some reports, but usually night dwellers and children. Another characteristic is that they are always asking for something. So these Becks need something from you. They need to come into your home to either use your phone, or to wait for somebody, or to get some food, I've even heard. Or they need to come into your car to get a ride. And they always ask. They cannot just come in. They need permission to come inside. So they're always asking your permission. And another thing is, if you say no, they tend to get a little angry. They become aggressive. They become, persistent. Like in the case with Brian, the origin story, Those kids, after he told them he wasn't going to give them a ride, they were very persistent. They would not take no for an answer. They were like, just let us in. We're kids. Nothing's going to happen. Like, they're really trying to convince him and being very, very persistent because they really want to come in. But they could not just come in on their own. They needed him to say yes. I also heard of another instance where a woman was walking home late at night. She actually happened to see two Becks that were like young men. They kind of scared her because, you know, she was just by herself and alone. And they asked if they could come in to use the phone. She, of course, was like, no. She got scared. She ran into her house, locked it, and they did not want to leave. They proceeded to knock on her door, ask if they could still come in, and they would not leave her property. She got so scared that she eventually had to call her friend to come over. And as the friend was walking up, the Becks turned around and saw the friend, and they just took off. So, you know, they want to get you alone. They are persistent. I've even heard of them like really aggressively knocking on your door for like an hour or two afterwards, if you say no. So persistent, aggressive, also weird. They have this tendency to just be like strange, like something's off. And I did talk about this in my last video where people get this feeling about like in the pit of their stomach, like something's not right here. There's something about these children that are just weird. Mostly you notice they're dressed weird, like from a different time period. They are also have weird haircuts. They just look weird. They talk weird. There was even a story I heard of them asking if they could use the telegraph, which is something we don't use anymore. We use telephones. So they're just like almost from another time, and they're just odd, very odd and weird. And even another characteristic about them is that they can be summoned. So I did talk about this also in my last video where when I was starting to do this story, like I hadn't even researched it or anything, but I was just like, oh, I'm gonna do the Black Eyed Kids. And as soon as I decided to do it, I got this weird like feeling like maybe I shouldn't do this. I was a little apprehensive and a little scared, which is odd for me because I like learning about supernatural stuff. So usually things are very interesting to me, but I was just like, I don't know, something seemed a little bit scary and weird, and I was apprehensive. But, you know, in the end, I just kind of like shook it off and did it anyways. And that was even before I found out you can summon them. So people say that if you're researching them, you can summon them to you. And even by saying their name too many times, you can summon them to you. So that's really freaky, but luckily nothing has happened to me. So fingers crossed, nothing happens. But I really did actually enjoy doing this. Okay, so let's get into some theories about who these Black-Eyed Children are. One of the theories is that they are what's called the Ahtcan. It is from an ancient Iroquois legend that basically it's kind of like there's a good and there's an evil. And the Orenda is good, everything good comes from it, and then the Ahtcan is the opposite, which is evil, and everything comes from that. The Iroquois Indians also say that the Ahtcan is tied to the evil one, which is kind of like what Christians would call the devil. So what they think is that the evil one is trying to like reincarnate himself. So what he does is he will mate with the women in the tribe and try to have babies with them. And these babies will come out with black eyes. He, is basically trying to just like come back to life. And of course, they're quite afraid of that. So what they do is as soon as one of these babies are born, they will kill the baby immediately and burn the baby so that there's nothing left. Another way that the evil one tries to get into the Iroquois people is that he will try to go through their children. So what happens is when a children wanders off too far by themselves, since they're young and fragile, the Akan will possess them. And when they come back to the village, they will come back with these dark black eyes. They will come back angry, and they've even been known to eat people. It's disgusting. So after they come back, their main goal is to basically infest other people. So they will go with the kids, and then all the kids will infest the adults. And then it turns into where it's just like a total mass infestation of the tribe from the Akan. So that is their belief. Okay, so the second theory about the Becks is that they could possibly be aliens. I said it, aliens. Since when is there like an unexplained phenomenon that we don't try to tie to aliens? It happens all the time, but this one has a lot of weight to it. So, some of the similarities that they have to the aliens is, of course, their pale skin, their black eyes, very similar to the Greys. So if you don't know who the Greys are, you've probably been living under a rock for the past 50 years. Just kidding. The Greys are actually an alien race who, they're mostly popularized in movies, and they're probably the most popular alien race out there that we know of, and there's a good reason for that, because everybody, well, not everybody, but most people who have either been abducted or have seen aliens report these Greys. So there are different kinds, but they're the most reported as being seen. And they basically have like this huge bulbous head and the big, huge almond eyes, and they look very, very similar to the Becks. Also, they have mind control. The Becks have some sort of mind control, so there are some differences between them. One of the differences is that the Becks only have like half mind control. They can't completely control you, but they can like almost control you or heavily influence you. Like for instance, the whole thing with Brian Bethel when he was in the parking lot and he was looking up at the marquee to see the movies that were playing, and when he looked back, he was already like reaching for the door handle, and he, didn't even want to let them in. But he said it was almost like he didn't have control over his body, but he quickly snapped out of it. So there has been a lot of reported instances where it just seems like they don't want to let the Becks in, but they do anyways for some reason, and they don't know why. So also another difference is that they need permission to come in, whereas aliens, they say do not need permission to come in. Aliens can just come in. Most cases of like abductions, they come into your home, they take over your mind, your body, you have no choice, you have no control over it, and most of the time you don't even remember it. So, uh, that's the two major differences between the Becks and the aliens, and they do think that there's a reason for that. So the theory is that the Becks are some sort of alien human hybrid. Um, the Greys, they believe, want to um, mate with humans and mix their DNA in with ours and eventually like breed out humans and take over our planet. And they say the reason why they want to do this is because their planet is no longer livable. So they want our planet, but they can't just come in and do it. They have to, because of like they're not adapted to our environment. They need to mix their DNA with ours, and then that way they can actually live on here and inhabit the Earth. Okay, so also another tie-in with aliens is the Men in Black. So I did briefly talk about this in the last video. If you remember the lady who lived in Vermont, the couple that let them in the house, when the Becks left, they looked out the window and they seen their parents, which happened to be two men in black suits, black hats, and black sunglasses. So that is typically the suit for the Men in Black. If you don't know what the Men in Black are, I mean, there's like a whole franchise out there with them, but they're a little bit darker than what the franchise projects. They are said to be some sort of like secret society that is in charge of aliens here on our Earth. So one of the theories is that, they're trying to control what people know about aliens. So, there have been sightings of them when people have been abducted, or there's just sightings of aliens, or people are just trying to expose aliens. They've been known to show up on these people's doorsteps and basically intimidate them and threaten them into keeping silent. So there's that theory, and then there's also the theory that they actually are aliens themselves, which is why they use those big, huge black sunglasses. Even at night, they'll wear them. And that is, they think, because maybe they're hiding like their dark, huge black eyes. Another theory about the black-eyed children is that they could possibly be demons. So they do have a lot of similarities with demons. First of all, they stink. People have said that the black-eyed children smell like boiled eggs or something rotten, which, if you know anything about demons, supposedly that's how they smell. They smell like something rotten or sulfur. They just stink really, really bad. Another similarity they have to demons is that they haunt your dreams. So demons have been known to haunt dreams. There have been reports that the Becks, after seeing them, people have had nightmares about them for months on end. Another tie that they have to demons is that they show themselves as children. So if you know anything or heard anything about demons, they appear many times as children. One example of this is the famous Sallie house, where a woman who lived there said that she was haunted by a demon who presented itself as a little girl with curly hair named Sallie. Sallie was actually a child who had lived in that house and died while she lived there. But it wasn't a child, it was in fact a demon who was presenting itself as this child to try to get the lady to befriend her. So that's one common thing about demons, is that for some reason they think that they can prey on our vulnerabilities for children. And that's why they show themselves like that. But to be honest with you, I don't think that children are like innocent. If I was to see like a strange child in my house, I would automatically think Children of the Corn. Okay, I don't know if you guys know what that is. It is a movie franchise from like the 80s. All I remember is when I was younger, my parents were watching this movie called Children of the Corn, and on the movie, like, the children were evil, and they would like get all the adults and kill them and sacrifice them to like their evil god or whatever. They were freaky. Let me tell you, demons, that is not the way to go, because every time I see a crazy looking child, I always think that they're evil. So if you're gonna try to trick me, you better try, like, I don't know, a puppy or something. A puppy, a kitty. I mean, maybe, you know, like one of those little kitties that are like barely born and they're like mew mew and they're all cute and everything. That's gonna be the only way you get me, because you ain't gonna get me with no nasty demon child. No, no, not happening. Okay, so on to the next theories. Other theories include being vampires, and that mostly is because of the pale skin and the fact that they need permission to come in. So that's like the old tale of the vampire who can't come in, you have to give them permission. So that's kind of like how they're tied to vampires. But it's important to note that they're not like viewed as the typical blood-sucking vampire. They are viewed more like the like an energy-sucking vampire, like someone who comes in and feeds off of your energy, which is why they think that after meeting these Becks, a lot of people report being sick. Like the woman who lived in Vermont, her husband actually developed skin cancer after meeting them. She as well was very sick. There's just been a lot of reports of people feeling sick after meeting with the Black-Eyed Children. And yet another theory about who they are is that they could be these like interdimensional beings who are come here from like a different dimension, trying to just interact with us. And they think that's like kind of coincides with them being like a little off and a little weird. So like it's kind of like they come from a different time period. Like they're trying to come into our life and blend in with us, but they kind of have it a little off. Like maybe they haven't gotten the right time period, so that's why they're dressed like in old times. That's why they're asking for like the telegraph, and why they use certain terms that are just like really old-fashioned, and they look weird and they act strange, and it's like they're just not getting it. They're trying to blend in with us, but they are not. It's not clicking for them. They're not getting it. So those are just a couple more theories. There's lots of them out there, and like way too many to go over, but those are like basically the main ones. Okay guys, so thanks for watching. I just wanted to say that I'm very excited to do my next video. In my next video, I am going to start a series of haunted house series. So I'm very excited about this. My first love is ghosts, and haunted houses. So I'm very excited to start this series. I don't know which house I'm going to do. Probably won't do the Sally house, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. So you're going to have to watch and find out. So make sure you subscribe to my channel. You hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I make a new video. And please make sure to give me a like and share with people that you think will enjoy these scary stories. So once again, I just want to say thank you. Happy Halloween, and bye.